Hi there, welcome to Frames TM, and today we are going to discuss some of the things that make the Nikon Zf a standout camera. Some of the things that make it special in a way that even the Z8 and Z9 cannot compete. Let's begin. First of all, the IBIS in this camera. The improved in-body image stabilization in this is magical for many photographers, especially, at least for me. One of the reasons that I bought the Zf is because it's improved IBIS. This feature introduces two innovative aspects which are not found on the previous Nikon cameras, meaning not even the Z9 and the Z8. Firstly, the IBIS can prioritize the area where the focus point is located, ensuring stability at that point. You have better overall sharpness and stability, especially if you're focusing on the left or right of center. Thus far, all IBIS mechanisms essentially ensure that the most stable zone of a photograph is actually in the middle of the frame. Now, with the new mirrorless cameras, one of the advantages is that we don't have to focus on things right in the middle, right? The lenses have great sharpness on the sides, on the corners. The focus points are allocated across the frame. So you're not limited to what's there on the center only. You can actually try and experiment with more types of compositions instead of just putting the subject right in the middle of the frame. Which means when you want to use the IBIS, if your IBIS is not optimized for focusing something which is not at the center, then you're not getting the most out of your IBIS. That's where the IBIS system in the Zf comes in. Now, the IBIS in the Zf is rated for 8 stops. What does that actually mean? How much is 8 stops? Let's begin at 4,000, 1/4000 of a second. From there, 8 stop would go like this. 2000, 1 stop, 1000, 2 stops, 500, 3 stops, 250, 4 stops, 125, 5 stops, 60, 6 stops, 30, 7 stops, 15, 8 stops. In my use case, I have shot photos with half a second shutter speed and the photos are reasonably sharp. But I would say don't go below 1/4 of a second because that's where I think is the sweet spot is. The second superpower of the Nikon Zf is actually about using modern features for old style of shooting. If you want to shoot with a manual focus lens and you want a focus assist, I don't think there's anything better than Nikon Zf in the market right now, especially if you're shooting subjects that the camera can detect and pick up. In this case, Nikon can easily detect an eye even when you're shooting with a manual focus lens. It can detect any subject. And when the subject is detected, all you have to do is basically press the OK button. And the camera will automatically zoom in by 50%, 100%, depends on how you've set it up, how you have set up the magnification. And once you have zoomed in, all you have to do is just fine tune with the focus ring, and you will get your images stack sharp. And I have used it, and let me tell you, it's actually magical. It's very, very smooth. It's very intuitive to use. You just have to get used to two functions. Just press on the OK button and change, and press on the OK button again to zoom out and see the whole scene again before you press the shutter button, because you'd like to be in control of the composition. And when you don't want eye detection, let's say there's no eye in the frame and you have to focus on a subject, you will see a red focus point on the frame whenever you are using a manual focus lens. All you have to do is just take the focus point to that object wherever you want to focus on, and then press the OK button to zoom in. Now, this process of moving the focus button while using manual focus is not cumbersome, because when you're shooting like this, you can actually move the focus point by using your finger like a cursor, and you can just move by swiping on the screen. That's again very convenient. You have to go inside the menu and set it up. Watch my setup menu for photography for the Nikon Zf. I'll link it below, and it's like almost an hour-long video where you can get into every detail, and you'll know how to exactly set up the camera, or at least how I have set up the camera. And I think it's quite intuitive the way have set up my ZF. Now, related to autofocus, because we're talking about detecting the eye, do you know that this is the third point? Do you know that Nikon claims that the ZF can recognize the world's smallest face in the frame? It has the ability to detect a face occupying only 3% of the frame. That's crazy. That's crazy for on any system. And to think that we have now that in ZF for the first time in Nikon system, I mean, lucky to be using a Nikon, to be honest. I kind of feel that my bet on investing in the Nikon system was the right kind of bet. And honestly, this is an amazing thing. 3% within the. So what you're talking about is detecting a tiny face. A tiny face can happen because of many reasons. Because it's a tiny person, the person is far off, or anything like that, and you're using the very shallow depth of field lens. For example, you're using a 1.2 lens, or even the 0.95 lens, the not from Nikon, and you want to really detect the face in the frame, because when you use a wide aperture lens like that, you can go back, ensure the subject is small in the frame, and you'll still get a lot of foreground and background bokeh, right? So you can really compose your shots very imaginatively. And there, it will really matter if the camera can actually pick up the face of the eye from a distance. And that's why this is a superpower, in my view. And to think that Nikon doesn't claim this about even the Z8 and Z9 is significant. Next, the black and white magic on the fly. This is one of my favorite, feature in the Nikon Zf. Imagine the freedom to switch to black and white shooting on the go. This is an exclusive feature because no other camera has a dial like you see here. No other camera has a dial to do back and forth from color and black and white. This is real-time flexibility. And you don't get this even on the Z8 or Z9 or Sony A7 R5, Canon R6 II, Canon R6, any of the Fujis, any of the Canons, any of the Sonys. Yeah, you don't get it on any other system. And to think that this is such a simple, thoughtful way to empower a photographer. And a lot of people will say that, the black and white mindset is completely different from the color shooting mindset. Yes, but when you're shooting color, you know exactly the scene where color shooting is too distracting. And at that point, you may feel that this is a great black and white image, but this is not a great color image. See, the way I use it is because when I'm shooting black and white, great, I just flick the switch and I'm black and white mode. And within black and white, I have quick access to 2-3 image profiles, which are different black and white image profiles. And all of them are fantastic, very good. I'll do another video on those profiles. But the other thing is that even when I'm shooting color, there are those moments when I know, okay, this is a scene, this is a shot, which will not come out very well in color. And if I still take the shot in color, I might forget that I was thinking black and white for this shot. And I might actually delete the picture during editing because by that time I've forgotten. It could be 5 days later that I'm actually looking through the pictures, right? So if I quickly switch to black and white and take that shot in black and white, let me tell you, when you're actually in Lightroom trying to edit the photos, the thumbnail view on the strip below on Lightroom, it will show you a black and white image, and that will remind you, and the picture will look black and white also. That will remind you that you took this shot in black and white. Now, at that point, you can go back to color. You can just click on that. There's a black and white option on Lightroom. You just have to unclick it, as in click to undo black and white mode. You will see all the colors back. You can try editing it in black and white or in color, but at least you mark that shot as something that you thought is better suited as a black and white image. I think that flexibility as part of the workflow is truly beautiful. It's very smart. And of course, when you want to shoot black and white, shoot black and white. Just very easy to get to black and white. That's it. I think it is very easy to disregard this feature because you can say that, I can go back to my edit and just change all the pictures to black and white. That's not why this is here. This is here to ensure that you have the flexibility to see, observe, understand the scene and understand what's the best kind of shooting mode for that particular situation or scene. So I think this is again a superpower for the Nikon Zf, and you don't see that on any other camera. Last but not the least, this is the Thor's hammer in Nikon Zf. Low light autofocusing. Yes, the Nikon Zf can focus in -10 EV with an f1.2 lens, surpassing that of the Z9 and the Z8. Which means for an f2 lens, the Nikon Zf can focus at -8.5 EV, thanks to the cutting-edge XP7 processor and an even better algorithms. I think they have tweaked the algorithm further to reach this level of performance. I think the Nikon Zf does the most for night photographers. And let me tell you, night photography is a very different kind of shooting experience where autofocusing can be difficult. Colors are difficult because light is difficult. There's so many colors, so it's overall a far more difficult scenario when you're shooting in low light. And I'm not talking about shooting in low light as in shooting in a high contrast scenario when you're shooting landscape or wildlife. No, there you don't need to often shoot at -8.5 or -10 EV. But when you're shooting night, those are real scenarios for you. I mean, you are shooting at 8.5 EV at times. So, and you already handle difficult colors. And I talked about how easily you can just flick off a dial and you can get to black and white mode and start shooting. Couple that with this ability of the Nikon Zf to shoot in almost darkness. So you have a wonderful camera. What a beautiful package. It promises exceptional light sensitivity, outperforming the counterparts by 1 to 1.5 stops. Right? That's amazing. So the Z8 cannot do that. The Z9 cannot do that. I think the Sony A7R5 can shoot at -8 EV. I'm not too sure, but I think the Sony A9 Mark III can shoot at -8 EV for an 1.8 lens. This can do -8.5 EV at f2. So it's slightly better than the Sony A9 Mark III. And it's also better because this is 1/3 the price. That's a $6,000 camera, and this is only $2,000. So now it's kind of clear why this camera is making such an impact, and people from all systems are interested to sort of try this camera, buy it, shoot with it. From precise IBIS to seamless black and white transitions, the Zf goes further than any camera today from the point of view of actual user experience, surpassing even that of the systems from Z8 and Z9 in some cases, Sony A7R5, A7CR, A7C2, or even the Canon R6 II in some situations, honestly. And all while being a lot more affordable than those cameras. So, yeah, so let me know what you think of the Zf. Are you getting a Zf? And if you have recently got your Zf, you can see how to set up the Zf in the link which I'm going to share with this video. I'm going to see you soon with another one very soon. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Help me reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of February. It's not too much to ask. It doesn't cost you anything. So if you can, do subscribe and like the video. See you.